Hey guys, got the tutorial up and running and it's more or less working. It's a lot more stable than it was last week and it's running pretty smoothly. We got a bunch of new features added and some quality of life improvements, and it should be pretty easy to read and run through. So let's go ahead and go through the tutorial together. All right, here we go. So as you can see, we have a new quest display system where we have our quests are broken down into the quest title, the quest chapter title, and then the objectives under the underline. So we have combat tutorial, training arena is the chapter, and then it says activate combat tutorial. And then we have the tutorial instructions on the bottom of the screen. Interact with F or A for Xbox with the notice board at the arena. So we're just going to go there and we're just going to hit game tutorial. Now it says enter the arena. You enter the arena. The guy spawns in. We get our first page. It's an 8-phase tutorial that we're going to go through. And phase 1 is we got to target the enemy. So we're just going to go look at the character and then we're going to hit the target. And as you can see, we have right click, hold right click, or left trigger. So let's go ahead and target him. You get the display above his head. That means you have him targeted. If you miss him, it won't have that symbol above his head. Now we can lock onto opponents and change our stances. Stances are like attack modifiers and changes directions. It's also used for defense, and you'll see that later in the tutorial. So let's go change our stances. So we're just going to focus on the character, and then we're just going to move our mouse. So the right stance is already completed because we're already in there by default. Now we're going to go into the left stance, and you can see that dynamically darkened that objective. That means that's complete. And then the high stance. Now we're going to go into the attack mode, and the stances can be used for attacking. The only difference is there's no directional bash attacks because bash attacks are guard breakers. And guard breakers do not require direction because they're just designed to break through the defense of the enemy. And then there's also special attacks and abilities, also not stance specific. But your standard attacks and combinations do require stance modifiers. So we will go through that and you'll see how it works. Hit there, then we got attack left. And you can do this in any order you want as long as they all get completed. You don't have to do one over the other. So now we're in blocking, and they want us to show to block standard attacks is you have to be in the correct direction as the incoming damage. If you're in the correct stance, then you'll block the attack. And then there's also a block hold with the shield, which is mainly used for projectiles, but can also be used against melee weapons, but it has a bigger stamina punish. So you will lose stamina a lot more blocking, holding the shield up rather than directionally blocking. And that's just to encourage people to use the directional block system with sword and shield equipped. So let's go and test that out. Oh, I'm not focused on the guy. There we go. I left, change to the shield. There we go. Now we got what's called, he's going to do his own bash attack. And so it's our job to dodge out of the way, because as I said before, bash attacks aren't directional based, they're guard breakers. So he's going to attempt to do a bash attack on us, and we have to attempt to get out of the way. There we go. Pretty simple dodge there. They're reasonably well telegraphed, so they're easy enough to dodge, but when you're fighting multiple opponents, it does get more difficult. So now we are going to do ripostes. And a riposte is a parry followed up with an attack. So we have a parry mechanic similar to like Souls games. And when you press parry, time temporarily slows down a bit and you get to follow up with a standard critical attack or a big bash attack, which is like a big stagger and stun. which is really good for crowd control and creating distance from your enemies. So let's go ahead and I will show you how that works. Oops. Let's get focused on him here. This is your standard riposte attack. Now, riposte attacks are unique per direction. So you actually have 3 riposte attacks. And again, bash attacks are not directional, so you only have 1 bash attack. But it's a pretty cool one. It does a big front kick and drops him on his ass, so I like it. The next one is throwing weapons. So we're going to go and look at how the throwing weapons work. Draw that out. And if we throw our throwing weapon, it goes. Now, the one benefit of throwing weapons is it has free aim. You can attack with your sword outside of focus mode too, but there's a high chance of blocking. But with throwing weapons, you do have free aim. So we got this hanging cage above the guy's head. There's a bunch of environmental obstacles in the game that can both affect you or your opponents, and how you maneuver the levels determines whether they're a benefit to you or a hindrance. So let's go ahead and drop this cage on the character by just free aiming and throwing like that. And the quest is complete. The HUD is gone. The tutorial AI is dead. And that is how you complete the tutorial. So yeah, we went through it all together. It ran really smooth. And hopefully when we get the playtest ready, it'll run smooth for you guys too. And if not, you can provide feedback. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you later.